What is up, guys, and welcome to a Witchcrafter deck profile. Now, the meta's kind of been, it's not bad, but it's not exciting or fun, because it's kind of been stale, because the same decks have always been on top. So, messing around, I was like, you know what, I'll invest into Witchcrafter. So, I was like, take Witchcrafter to locals this weekend and see how it goes. And, going 3-1 with Witchcrafters is pretty good in a semi-meta. Locals is always the rogue people, but rogue's fun, like Witchcrafter. But without further ado, let's get into this. FYI, I'm probably gonna butcher all these Witchcrafter names because I just picked up the deck like a month ago. I learned the combos, the basic combos, and the kind of the more intricate stuff, but the names probably not. So we have Witchcrafter, Shemeta. This is your main card to start, honestly. Like, this is like your starter, as they call them. Like, Shemeta is the card you want to see and get in your opening hand as fast as possible. It basically starts everything. And then, of course, probably all the dedicated Witchcrafter players out there probably roast me for my races, but this is what I found best. I basically run one of any of the rest of them, except for, well, the somewhat decent ones. And this one's questionable. Edel, it's good. I really like it because it can obviously recover, say, spellcasters from the graveyard. It's kind of just more of a grind game, fall back on. Patori. This, I've seen people running that 2 and 3 even, and I can totally justify that. Like it's really just, it says draw 1 card on it, so it definitely makes it instantly good. So, but definitely, like, you always mess with the arrangement. This is what I have. But Patori, definitely a really good card as well. Honestly, I would put it to 2. Then I say Pottery, good. Keep it at 1. Love it. If you didn't know, all Witchcrafters have this built on, like quick effect. Say main phase effect. Some of them do, like Adele doesn't have it, but it's kind of something similar, where you contribute it and discard a spell and summon a Witchcrafter from deck. So they have a way to fetch themselves from deck, and then they have their own, like, unique effect at the end. Like Patori, you can banish this card, draw 1 card. Banish from your graveyard, draw 1 card, then you can basically Foolish Burial Witchcrafter card from your hand to the graveyard. Or if you have none, you just banish your entire hand, so that's downside. And then this one, you can banish from the graveyard, and you can target 1 Witchcraft in the graveyard, and you can re-add it back to your hand. And like I said, Adele can summon it from graveyard. Then Jenny, it's cool. You can banish this card. You can basically recycle your Witchcrafter spells, add them back from your graveyard to your hand. So it's basically your recursion. And then that is it for the smaller Witchcrafters, because there's the small ones, and then there's the big ones as Shemeta was 4, then you had 5, 3, 2, and 1. So they kind of hints at what a card that we do play in this deck is also. Then we have the big Witchcrafters. Like, these are the ones that are going to be doing the ones you want to get out from the smaller ones' effects. We have the one Golem Aru. It's pretty interesting. It's basically a free special summon from hand, and it's just a 2800 beat and stick. And, it's not the best, because Madame Vare is honestly the best one you want to go to. Golem is just pushing for damage. Madame Vare, of course, being a 2800 defense, she has a big booty. But definitely one there. And then we have one Hane. Hane is pretty interesting because it's basically a targeting destruction effect, so she can just pop things and get them out of the way. So that is it for our Witchcrafter lineup. As you'll see shortly, that this deck, because as you've seen, they're based on spells, there's a lot of spells. Now, we do run hand traps. We run the 3 Gamma and then the 1 Driver. Especially with, Gamma just hits things. It counteracts Ash and stuff like that. With Crossout Designator out now, I mean, honestly, it's a side deck card. Actually, it's probably main deck worthy, honestly. So keep an eye out for that, because hand traps are definitely going to be a lot more in trouble, because then you have Gamma that hits Ashes, then you have Crossout Designator that can hit Ashes, then you got the one Lone Call by the Grave. It's... Please bring Called By back to 3, please. It's simple. Then, of course, we have the Witchcrafter spells. We have 3 Holiday. This is your Monster Reborn for the deck. Some builds only run 2, 3, but I wanted to play it a little more aggro, so I want to flood the field, push for more damage, because this deck, besides Axis Code Talker, has trouble pushing for damage. Then we have 1 By Street. This basically can take the, say, blow for the discard for one of your Witchcrafters. It's pretty cool. And then, if the first time a Witchcrafter monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, it's not destroyed. So it gives you a little I say cushion, basically to get your board built up, because it's a very slow deck. It's compared to the rest of the meta. Like, you go against Drytron, it's going to be vastly different in a different gameplay. Then of course we have the creation. This is your built-in rotor for the deck. It adds any Witchcrafter monster from your deck to your hand, and then it's great. And also, if you control Witchcrafter monster, its other effect, you can just add it back to your hand. So this deck can definitely grind out because you can just keep adding back your Witchcrafter spells. And of course, we have 3 Unveiling. Now this is the MVP of the deck. Unveiling is nuts. First, you can special summon a Witchcrafter monster from your hand, and if you do, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to activation of the spellcaster monster's effects for the rest of the turn. So basically, you just blanket your entire board with a Milesian. Basically, you just fucking I say discard. I say miscellaneous source, basically, and then you get the blanket effect. So pretty dope. And then, of course, during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster and its cards in your graveyard, you can re-add it back to your hand. So, like I said, this is just constant recurring resources. Like, you want to hit that grind game with this deck really, really hard. Then, of course, our one-offs, we have Draping. Draping, you can trigger a spell and trap cards your opponent controls up to the number of Witchcrafter monsters you control. You bounce them back to the hand so you can pulse them, and then, of course, you can add it back during the end phase if you control a Witchcrafter monster. Then, of course, we have Collaboration. Basically, you can push for more damage, you can make second attacks. And then and also your opponent can activate spell and trap cards in response to this card's activation. Then we have Witchcrafter Scroll. Basically, every time your spellcaster, any spellcaster, doesn't have to be Witchcrafter. Actually, you can draw a card, and then you can activate one of the effects. Well, you don't have to draw, but if a Witchcrafter monster you control discarded to activate its effect, you can send this card from your field to the graveyard instead. So it's similar to Buy Street, where it can just take the hit for one of your, let's say Witchcrafter effects. Then during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster, you can bounce this card face up in the spell and trap card zone. So recurring resources, you want to hit that grind game hard with this deck. Then, of course, we have our spells that are not Witchcrafter spells. We do run the Secret Village build because, locking your opponent out of spellcaster spells is pretty nice. So, definitely 3 secret of the spellcasters. Yeah, Floodgate. Pot of Extravagance. If you have Pot of Prosperity, you can use that too. I mean, Pot of Prosperity and Pot of Extravagance for this deck, it really necessary isn't too much. Yes, Pot of Prosperity allows you to dig deeper, but Extravagance, not everyone can afford Prosperity at the moment, and Extravagance is a really good, decent budget option. And plus, it's just still a good card. Like, it's still a great card. Then, of course, we do run Super Polymerization because we are kind of a meta grind game breaking type board deck, because we want to grind, we're a slower paced deck. Super Poly, might as well break the board, take the grind game to even, and then also try to push for damage at the same time. Super Poly, board breaking card. This card's still absolutely just nuts and broken. Then I mentioned earlier how all the Witchcrafters have different levels. Reasoning. Then also don't matter, because if you mill tons of your Witchcrafter spells, as long as you control a Witchcrafter monster, guess what? You can re-add all those milled Witchcrafter spells to your hand. And then Reasoning, if your opponent even calls it right, you still get so much advantage off in your Reasoning. So Reasoning is an insane card in this. And then our last spell we run in the deck, of course, is Called by the Grave. If you have Crossout Designator, throw those in too, man. Like, that's gonna be a crazy card. Honestly, get your Crossout get them now. Like, honestly, Crossout Designators are probably a good option with any deck right now. So if you have them, you're lucky. But thankfully, say for locals or anything like mine, we don't care, because we all have jobs, we all have bills. That if you can't afford a $120 card currently, the Korean versions are only like $8, so you can pick them up. But that is it with the spells. Then our 2 traps. We run the 2 Witchcrafter traps. One Patrius and one Masterpiece. They're situational traps. They come up in niche situations, with Patronus, you could target a spellcaster monster that is banished or in the graveyard. You can basically recycle it, and then you can add a Witchcrafter spell from your deck to your hand. Then, of course, you can if this card's in your graveyard, except for the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card and target any number of banished Witchcrafter spells with different names, then add them back to your hand. So it kind of recurs all your resources that you've been banishing. Then this one, Masterpiece. If you control a Witchcrafter monster, you can target one spell in either graveyard, add one card with the same name from your deck to your hand, so it's a way to search out more spells. Then during either player's turn, except for the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card, and any number of spells from your graveyard, special summon one Witchcrafter monster from your deck whose levels equal the number of spells you have banished. So, basically use Masterpiece. Patronus recycles your resources. Free resource gain. Now, that's it for the main deck. Onto the extra deck. We have one Psi form, let's say Psi Frame Lord Omega. The only way you're going to make this is if you resolve Driver and a Gamma, so that's the only way. And plus, at least we have that option. Omega's still an insane card to go with. Then, of course, we have all the Super Poly targets. We have one Predaplant, not going to try it. The one Muddrag in the Swamp, just a standard. Then we have one Borreload Furious Dragon. Dragon Links are still kind of around. This kind of handles Dragon Link Rocket decks, handles it out. Also takes out Dragoon. And then this, I know this deck profile is going to be kind of long, but this guy, depending on what your matchups are, this guy can actually become pretty insane. He's Cordius, the Tamphastic Dealman, and his fusion requirements is one Synchro, one Exceed, and one Link monster. Now, if you're going against a combo deck, you're most likely going to have at least 2 out of 3 of these, right? So this is actually a really good card in situational matchups where if your opponent ends on a multiple different type of card, like if he has a Link, Exceed, Synchro, or like a Fusion or something like that, he actually can come in situationally where you can bring him out, and his effect is actually pretty fucking good. Definitely, if you're running Super Poly targets, I think he's an underrated target for what he can do. Then, of course, we run the other Predaplant, one Fusion monster, one Dark. He's built-in out for the Dragoon, and of course, we have the Supreme the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon as well. Then, of course, we do run the Trishusha, the Dragon of Icy Imprisonment. 3 monsters with different names. Just wipes out the board. Like, Super Poly is such an unfair card. Especially when it comes to how many targets it can have. It's nuts. Now, our Link monsters. We have the one Nightmare Phoenix, pop in back row. The one Masquerena to spin up into the Unicorn during your opponent's turn. The classic stuff. The combos that never fail. One Celine to recycle all your spellcasters. And we use so many spells, she's going to get tons of spell counters. Her synergy with the deck is nuts. One Ningirsu, built-in out to Dragoon. If you have trouble with Dragoon, pick up like this $8 card. Like, honestly, he's the simple out to Dragoon. Even probably Dark Phoenix Enforcer too, because that's going to be his thing too. Then, of course, our game enders, Borreload, Borrel's Sword Dragon, push for game, along with our good old Access Code Talker, and, ultimate rare, $8 ultimate rare. Why can't we be like the OCG? Where our ultimate rare, plus Access Code Talker, didn't make the 10, so if you want to enjoy Access Talker and TCG, it's going to be expensive, but it's $8 card in the OCG. Konami, come on, please make it similar to the OCG. But that has been my Witchcrafter deck profile, plus a little bit of a rant about OCG and TCG products being different. But if you let me know down in the comments below what you think of the deck profile, and see what are things can make the deck better. Like I said, I've been playing the deck for like a little over a month now. Still trying to learn it out. What's the best build? So definitely pretty interesting. Just took it to the first local after being testing it for the last the last few weeks. But did well. 3-1. Only lost 1, and that was against a Drytron player. So pretty good. But the rest of it, the only other meta deck I went against was a very questionable Virtual World deck. That was interesting, but besides that, it was a fun deck. Honestly, it's budget. Besides some of the extra deck cards, but say thank you guys for watching. Say hope you guys are staying safe and staying healthy. And until my next video, bye bye.